Susan Brown, again with Christine Eaton. Delighted to be here. I'm delighted to be you and me. I'm delighted to
Hi,
be
Christine. Forum of the Divine Feminine, messengers, and I would ask that particular young women moving into the world, what is this reality for them? The obstacles, the potentials. So asking the Dakinis to display that in the form.
and obstacles that might be arising right now at this time.
Right.
You know,
For that particular,
For that-
different for you or I or,
Right.
you know.
yeah. Would you
different-
shuffle?
I will.
So we're talking about millennial women at this time. You know, June approaching the solstice, 2021. Any particular obstacles or challenges? Any? See what the cards have to,
Certainly.
how they respond to that question.
Right.
Yeah.
And then I feel like saying, and there's not a, I don't even think I have a perception of what that means. Millennial women,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
So I have two daughters, well, a daughter-in-law and one who's like a daughter-in-law to me, a millennial, and your
Yeah.
daughter.
Yeah.
So, you know, times are different for them
Yes.
than they were for
Yes.
us at the same age.
Utterly.
Yeah, no compare. Well, you can compare some things, but
Yes, they're women in this world.
right.
Some things never change.
Yep.
We'll just leave it at that.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll split 3 ways.
Okay.
Always do. And so obviously I can spread it across this way, or I can hold it in my hand. I think I'm going to go ahead and spread it. And again, no hard, fast rules. This is spontaneous and intuitive.
So Christine will pick the first card, which will be the issue. So in this case, of course, it's the issue of, you know, challenges, obstacles facing millennial women today, right now, in this time. If you didn't have a question going into it, this would define the question for you.
So I just want to say I brushed against this before I was going to choose, and for me with any kind of oracles or cards, I take that as, oh, okay.
Okay,
I
so
see
this
you.
is the first one. I put it here in the placement of, this is a 4-card reading. And then the second card is the challenge or to the issue, which is obstacles for millennial women right now. This is the path. So this would be path to help relieve the condition of obstacles. And this is where the path will lead. Okay. And these readings and more information are in the book, and also there's a booklet that comes with the deck, so to help you. All right, so we turn them over. Thunderbolt is the issue relating to women, millennials right now. Purity, which is a lotus, and I'll do the mudras. Wow, 3 mudras.
Wow, okay.
The path, 4 mudras.
Wow.
Wow, so I just want to say we got 4 cards that are hand positions. Half of the deck are hand positions and half are images, you know, like this. People, you know, doing things. This one's with a goat and a woman playing a flute. So, you know, yesterday we had the woman. So it's interesting to get 4 hand positions.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's a loaded.
Yeah, Thunderbolt.
Yes.
So, do you want to look them up while I...
Sure. And even the hand positions are mudras, you know, in the yogic tradition or Dharma, and you know, they're gestures. I mean, we're gesticulating all the time with our hands, you know, and so these are...
They're sealing the
Yes.
energy for a particular effect. you know, like we all know, this is a mudra, prayer,
Mhm.
right? So if you at home, if you want to try putting your hands
Yes.
like this, thunderbolt, sky cracks open.
Okay. And so the first card is the
challenge,
Mhm.
what's directly affecting what's challenging or presenting obstacles.
Okay. So sky cracks open upon the earth. Left hand rest under the right hand. Both are face up, fingers are together, thumbs extended naturally. Simply speaking, the word versus taking the word averts disaster. When thought creates tension, our words are the greatest harmers of the earth.
So
Wow.
that's, you know, I want to just stay with that, and maybe we can come back to some other things, but for now, so what we speak, especially for millennials right now, the words matter, you know, because the potential to be the most potential harmers of the earth, I mean, isn't that feels so contemporary, as far as how we speak, how we use our voice, how we vote, you know, and women's voices have been suppressed for centuries. So it is a challenge as a young woman to use our voices in a way that support, you know. So the sky cracks open, you know, like it's a challenge to be a young woman and be courageous. I think of AOC. I mean, she's using her voice. She's a millennial woman, you know, not to bring politics in it, but here they are. And, you know, the sky cracks open when she talks.
Right. Yes.
And
this, when it says, when thought creates tension, our words are the greatest harmers of the earth, there's such an emphasis because there's been such a suppression of women's voices.
Right. Right.
And I think that the empowered sense is to be able to articulate, communicate, advocate with speech, with communication, to do that with discernment, to know when to employ restraint with speech is incredibly difficult.
That's the challenge. I want to, before we read any more about that, if we do,
Sure.
I want to move on to this position, which is, so this is the obstacle. So interesting, the obstacle to that ability to discern and, you know, speak what's true and what's necessary. And this card is purity, and its form seeks light, and it's a lotus. So, you know, what would make this the challenge? So thunderbolt, right, is sky cracks open. It's very active. It's discernment.
It's very Dakini, cutting through.
Discernment. You have to use, you know, you can't hide. Whereas lotus, you know, a lotus flower, I think of as being more in concert with the natural universe. It's not passive, but it takes time, you know.
The lotus grows in mucky, swampy disturbance, and what emerges from that, like the roots of that, merge in purity is such a loaded word for women, I think.
Yeah.
I haven't ever, I see that word and I'm like, ugh.
Yeah, right?
Like.
So do we plant ourselves in the mud and wait and grow into a beautiful flower? It's kind of like, I mean, that's lovely, but in the context of this reading, it's sort of like, no, that's the obstacle. You know, a thunderbolt is really different from a lotus flower. And I think of, you know, if we're gonna use it as a metaphor for women, particularly right now, I mean, we don't really have time. We don't have time, especially if we're talking about the earth and issues that matter, whether it's social justice or environmental, you know, whatever we're talking about. We kind of don't have time to let the muck transform us. That's powerful work, potent, but not in this question,
Mm-hmm.
in this reading. So otherwise, so if we move to,
Can I say
Yeah,
one thing about
please.
it? So
Oh,
in the book it says to relieve suffering, and when I just intuitively, maybe this is something instructional about the cards. We have the gestures, the mudras. We have the guidance that's based in numerology and so many ancient traditions, the synthesis of them, and then there's the intuitive part that we were talking about in a previous reading about trusting what arises for us. And with this question, I see purity, and what Susan has said, the challenge, the obstacle is, I believe, for women, all women, millennial women, to
in dealing with obstacles.
right the self-identification of all thoughts and actions being intrinsically pure, to move beyond duality and judgment, self-loathing, questioning the purity of what arises from the body, within the body, expressed through the body, however that's expressed. There's such a
So it's a much deeper expression versus, I'm going to be a pure girl.
right. It's all good. It's all pure. It's all pure.
Even when the thunderbolt is cracking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
And so the path, given that,
Mhm.
is communication, and words become 4 elements. So we're really in a theme here because we're coming back to the earth, 4 elements, and how words, it's like this is a yogic mudra, and it's
Absolutely is.
similar to the
Yeah.
Boy Scout pledge thing, which is weird, but it is.
It's from yoginis.
Yeah, they stole
The Boy
it.
Scouts took
They
it.
stole it. This is ancient. So in case you say, oh yeah, I saw my son do this in Boy Scouts. So this is an ancient yoga mudra, and it's for communication and honoring your words. So again, how do we? It's coming right back to the thunderbolt. How do we speak in a way that doesn't have the most potential to harm the earth? If our words become 4 elements, then so really the path is communication. So
Yes.
for
If
young,
we're going to cut through, and upend and live in the truth, which is pure and dynamic and chaotic, then the expression of communication, and it says bearing fruit, like there's an effect. There's an effect.
particularly on the earth, and the things seen as well as unseen, but 4 elements. So we're really talking about all of it: air, water, earth, fire, right?
Right. Yeah, and speech, communication comes through body, obviously, is the earth element, and speech is the air element, and I mean, it's all held in the expression of the ways in which our gates communicate internally. The mind heart, our internal dialogue is the essence of so much communication, because we're communicating within our mind heart continually, and it can be very dense.
And we're communicating certainly in our heart and mind, and maybe with our best friend, but part of the way out of the challenge is like this time needs the voices of young millennial women, actual words, really speaking, not just to each other or to their own, demographic, but really the world needs millennial women right now speaking.
Exactly.
Speaking. I mean, that's the path.
And anyone who identifies as a woman, it's open, Or on that level for millennial men or those who identify or don't. I mean, the whole idea is this: the divine feminine, in all of its forms, can be guided by this. I mean,
so women, young women in particular, And the question is centered on them. We didn't ask about other demographics, but
Right.
so for that group in particular, age group, it's time to speak up.
Yeah.
And where that path will lead, that's the fourth position, 23, is power, okay? Regal domain. So I really love this because I think this is regal domain for protection.
Yeah.
So this is key. And this is really, because we think of power as domination, but no, power, true power, is our protection. So maybe, I'm interested to see what this card is saying.
So, powerful caring essence bestows safety, contracts, stewardships, inheritances, and travel. Practice a willingness to help others and prevent an impatient patronizing temper. It's like I was talking to myself there. So, passion and loyalty attract a prosperous partnership. Agility in body and mind bring pleasure. Honor and money from scientific or mechanical livelihood are the karmic result of your joy in universally helping others, reaching all of life. And then the question is, how are you gentle when you are powerful? There's so much about through the Dakini deck. Power is really a selfless act. That's problematic for a lot of women. That notion or the concept of selflessness has a long problematic history. But through Dakinis, our power is in benefiting others. It's in natural
practical ways.
Yes.
That's the four elements, because talked about whether it was business or relationship or community. It was saying it brings about. We're really talking about the infusing society culture to move in a better direction for things that we're not talking about reaching the mountaintop and seeing the light. We're talking about using our voices that will, in a way that allows us, we step into our regal domain, and that power allows us to create structures for quote unquote mundane life.
Right.
It's really what the card is saying.
Yes.
To change it so that it's not, so that it is beneficial and not harmful.
It's a regal domain. It's an intrinsic, natural, elemental force to be of benefit. We carry the world. If you're a young millennial and your intellectual mind power is in public health, then you benefit that way. When I'm thinking of my daughter and her friends in this past year of activism in the realm of social justice, communication, power, it felt natural. That's what I heard. This is a natural, output that then feeds their empowered self, so they can crack open this really dense reality with so much.
And what I see
suffering.
with, your daughter and my daughter-in-laws, their voices are really beautiful. And I guess the reading would say, to whatever ability, make it heard.
Yeah.
Make it heard, whether it's, whatever circle, community, however, but don't just keep it small and tight.
Right.
Let it,
Right.
let the sky crack open.
Yeah.
Talk.
And since this is the Dakini deck, I would say that remembering that, sky messengers, wrathful capacity to upend and serve. And so when I saw purity, I'm like, wrath is like, people are like, wrath, oh, it's dynamic, it's necessary, it's powerful, and it cuts through, and it's energetic, but by using really skillful communication.
That's the key. That's the path. Skillful, discerning communication.
There
So
we go.
if you're not a millennial woman watching, tell your millennial women friends.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're amazing.
Woohoo! I love you.
I love you.
Thank you. And my foot fell asleep.